Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today, I'm walking by a river, and I want to explain to you how to describe a river in an essay or in a poem, or perhaps just in a story. Describing a river can be incredibly peaceful. The way the river moves, the way it goes up and down and rises and falls, it can indeed be a lovely thing. So we're going to talk about exactly how to describe a river, and I'm going to begin just by telling you a little bit about what I'm seeing around me. Okay, so I'm walking on the river bank. Now, that's the same as in bank, as in, High Street Bank or Money Bank. So we call the area around the river the bank. The bit that you walk, the pathway, or the slopes on either side, those are referred to as river banks. So I'm walking along the river bank on a little pathway. Now, this is very interesting. Where I am today, I'm in the northern part of the UK. Okay, so on the left-hand side of me, there's an abbey, a big old ancient abbey, and the river is running right next to it, because in the old days, cargo and things for the town would have came into the town on this river, and the abbey would have collected taxes. The abbey, of course, in the old days was a government office as well as a religious place on behalf of the church, and it would have collected taxes for things entering the town. Okay, so behind me is the abbey. I'm on the riverbank right next to the abbey, and I'm looking into the river. Okay, so this river is called the White Cart River, and it merges with the Black Cart River, that's C-A-R-T, and other little streams around the area. A stream is a smaller river. Before the days of Wi-Fi and the internet, live streaming, a stream did actually mean a little river with not much water in it. So the riverbank itself is a little bit messy. I can see some beer cans, children's cans of soft drinks they've just thrown aside. There's also a football. There's some gravestones here. So this obviously was an old cemetery when the abbey was here as well, in part of this riverbank. And there's a little fence to stop people approaching the river, which is very nice. And more beer cans, rubbish, supermarket trolley. I don't know how they got a supermarket trolley here, because there's no supermarkets anywhere near here. So anyway, I think you're getting the picture. On the other side of the river, I can see some birds, some unusual birds, also some pigeons, and looming above me here is the town hall, which of course was the government office once they separated the church and government. So it's also very old. It's no longer used either. The government has another administrative office, and this large Victorian looming building, it's very nice. I mean, it's clearly very Victorian, or around that time anyway. Kind of yellow in colour, with a lovely decor, a ringing bell on the top. And behind me there's the medieval abbey, which it's been here since the 10th century, on the banks of the White Cart River. And this abbey is called Paisley Abbey. It's very famous. Yeah. I was married in Paisley Abbey. Right, let's look around. So, yeah, there's two big bridges uh, which this river runs under. They're just for decorative purposes. Why they made two instead of one, I don't know. So the river's kind of splitting off into two little tunnels, and they'll be united again at the other side. And looking to my left, the river is running down away from the town. There's a statue of Queen Victoria I can see in the distance on the other side of the river, in one of the gardens in the town centre. She hated this place. So when they made the statue of Queen Victoria, they made sure it was facing away from the town because she didn't like it. And, here, our royals, they are the ones, well, they and the government have the power to declare that a town can become a city. So it's not about size here in the UK. To become a city is a political designation. And in order to become a city, you have to enter a competition. You have to show what your town has. And if they think it's worthy, then they will authorize it to become a city. And of course, there's lots of benefits because cities get more money from the government than towns do. So this place is actually still a town. It's I think they say the largest town in Western Europe, which is Paisley, because it has never been made a city. And I suppose if Queen Victoria hated it, it's not going to help its cause. There isn't so much happening here. So I doubt very much if it will ever become a city. One thing that I can tell you is when we were in the European Union, they don't, of course, recognize our differences between towns and cities. So this town was able to apply to become the city of culture and enter other European competitions. It didn't win any of them, and that's something of the past now, of course, because we've left Europe. But let's get back to this river. So, it's very nice. I mean, clearly the banks of the river at some stage have been renovated because I'm just walking down here. It's a sunny morning. There's little seats on the grass for people to sit on if they want, little benches. And in this particular part, moving away from the cemetery and the supermarket trolleys and the beer cans, it's much more beautiful, okay? And you can probably hear behind me there's someone working, laying a new pathway quite close to where I am. Right, so that's died down. The noise in the background is a little bit quieter, so I'll continue. The one lovely thing about this river is the way in which the trees are hanging over the riverbank, creating a kind of a sheltering effect. Of course, because spring is not here yet, these trees are bare. They don't have any leaves on them, but they're hanging almost touching the water. And the water itself is very clear, so I can see it reflecting some of the buildings on the other side, which are overshadowing the riverbank. You know, when you do a jigsaw puzzle, sometimes they have a lovely picture of a building and the reflection of the building in water, just to make the jigsaw puzzle harder. Well, it's kind of like that. There's a slight ripple effect on top of the water. It won't be caused by boats because I'm sure the river is not deep enough. In fact, I can see that it's not deep enough to have boats coming up here these days. But the riverbank is actually quite high, which indicates that in the wintertime or during storms, the water rises significantly. I don't know what's causing the ripple, in the water. I'm guessing it's either birds or maybe something's happening a little bit farther down. It might just be a breeze, or it might just be a sign of the water moving. Because ultimately, of course, these rivers, through a maze of other rivers, end up in the sea. This is, after all, a very small island we live on here in the UK. The UK is surrounded by water, so these rivers will be running into bigger rivers, which will eventually wind their way into the sea, or at least into a larger canal. So my point is, they're going somewhere. So water is flowing, so it is moving, and that's what's causing this little ripple. Now, you can use the river as a metaphor for all kinds of things. You can talk about the river of life with its ups and downs and its winds and turns. A much more common way to talk about the river, of course, is comparing it to time. Time waits for no one, for no man. It marches on, and this river is no exception. It's moving, and it's been like that since, wow, who knows when this river first came into existence, but it was definitely here around the 10th century when the Abbey was here. And the Abbey is still here, of course. To use it as a metaphor for life and of time and for the ever-changing moments that we go through, the seasons of time, you can easily compare that to the movement of a river with all of its ups and downs, storms and calms. It kind of reminds us of what we go through in our lives. The darker parts of the river, of course, caused by pollution and mud, could easily be matched to our darker thoughts. And sometimes, older people, when they're walking, they have to deal with a lot of dark thoughts. Not anything sinister or very bad, but as we get older, sometimes there's less people in our lives, and there's more things to deal with. You'd think it would be the opposite, but it's not. But walking along the river is a good way to sort your mind out, blow away the cobwebs. Oh, that's the town hall bell ringing in the background there as well. I think you can hear that. I was talking to someone who came to live here from Russia a few days ago, and he was walking along a canal in the south of England. And he was just doing some exercise. He was jogging, and as he was jogging, was a group of drunk people, and as he tried to jog past them, they caught him and they pushed him into the river. And he was very shocked by this, and he was saying he didn't think those kind of things happened here. Well, those kind of things really do happen here, and if you are taking a walk along any river and it's not in a city centre or near a city centre, be very careful. If you're around London, at Paddington Station, there's a lovely canal you can walk down, but parts of that can be quite lonely and barren at different moments. So you need to be very careful if you're walking. Just be aware of who's near you, because someone could steal your bag or do some horrible things. So those things do happen here. Of course, the safety in numbers, so walking with someone is always a good idea. But you need to be quite careful. Where I am is fine. I mean, there's never much happening here, although at nighttime I wouldn't walk here alone, that's for sure. Too cold anyway, dark and wet and miserable. But yes, so for those of you who think that the UK is some kind of solace or great place without crime, you would be very much mistaken. Increasing political problems and boredom amongst young people are all contributing to different things happening. So the river is continuing to wind all the way through this town. As it continues, it's making its way out of the town, past the old thread mills, and it's really heading into the countryside. And at that point, I don't think you'd be able to walk on its banks because it would be too muddy, and I don't think there's a clear pathway there. But in the town centre and around the town centre, the river flows in a very, very nice way, and I can see it rippling away into the distance and carrying with it all of the rubbish that people have thrown into it, which is a great pity because it's lovely. We do have days here which are for clearing up the river. In those days, we come and we clean the banks a bit. Not many people do that though, because it's very hard to get to the river sometimes, you know. And yes, just to finish then, just take a moment to write down some words that you would associate with the river. Words that you would associate with your own life, and see if you can bring a comparison. You might get a lovely story from that. So just to close with some descriptions then: winding, rippling, gently moving. We can also describe a river as stirring, in the same way as you stir your tea. A river sometimes stirs. Quiet, peaceful, rhythmic, atmospheric, beautiful, guided, because the walls are clearly there to help it move and not get burst. I already said atmospheric and completely natural. It really is lovely and reflective, not only for us to reflect, but for views to be reflected in it. You know, there was a habit in the 19th century of building little ponds, which they called reflecting pools, which you could go and sit by and just think about life. And it's very common here. Another place it's very common to have reflecting pools and little ponds and rivers to sit by is the Netherlands. Of course, it's full of canals, but they often have little bits of water, little ponds, pools of water. They're usually quite dirty, that you can sit in and have a look around. Right, well, that's it from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this walk by the river. And as always, I hope to see you all soon. Take care. Bye.